Hey, everybody. Good welcome. It's Dr. Levi, and welcome to the show, your show, the Dr. Levi Show. Today is January 11th, 2016. No, 2017, here in beautiful Los Angeles. So I hope wherever you are today, you make it a great day. I got to tell you, 2017 is going to be phenomenal. I hope you're believing it. I hope you're knowing it. And I hope you're feeling prosperity. I think it's so important that we really embrace the idea and the knowingness that prosperity, success, and happiness and joy and great relationships, that's our birthright. Those are our birthrights. So if you believe that these things are for you, you will have that. If you believe that you are worthy, you will have that. If you believe that you will live paycheck to paycheck, that you will struggle, or that your grades determine who you are, or that the area where you come from determine who and what you can become, that's a mistake. I want you to know today, this day, on January 11th, 2017, that today is made for you, and that I want you to embrace the knowingness that the universe is conspiring for your greater good. Why? Because there's only one of you in the whole universe, only you. And guess what? Wherever you go, you take yourself. So why not take someone who's successful, who's happy, who's joyous, who's healthy, who has great relationships? Why not? The world needs you. I need you. I need me to be a better me. So I want to inspire you today to know and understand that everything will work out for the best, but you have to know that it's with determination, with great work ethic, and with vision. You have to have a vision for your life. My dad would always say, you have to know where you're going or you end up anywhere. So if you have a roadmap of success of saying that, okay, I'm here today, I'm struggling, it's rough, it's tough, I'm going from paycheck to paycheck. What can I do to make my life better? Well, number one, start out with making short-term and long-term goals, where you want to be in 3 months, in 3 weeks, in 6 months, in 2 years. Then it's so important that you knock on doors. Now, when those doors close and those windows close, that's okay. That's great. That means it's not a match for you. It's not a vibrational match. So when someone says no, guess what? There are 20 or 30 people waiting to say yes. But guess what? It's up to you to find them. So this show today is about entrepreneurial genius. This show today is about entrepreneurial magnanimousness. This show today is about reminding you that you can achieve whatever you want in your life by dreaming big and by making your life what you want it to be. So if you want to be a multimillionaire, guess what? We have some of them here today to talk with you. If you want to live in peace and abundance and joy, we got someone here today to inspire you to do that, who will give you the roadmap of how to achieve success. How do you do that? What are the principles of success? Do you just wake up and it's in your lap? For most people, it's not that way. So I want to remind you about making steps, small, sustainable steps to have more joy in your life, to have more positivity in your life, to have more success in your life. But at the same time, I want to remind you that if you have negative people, negative situations, negative anything in your life, guess what? That holds you down like an anchor, doesn't allow you to soar where you need to go. So don't be ashamed of cutting loose people, things, and situations that no longer serve you. Another thing my dad would say is that as we grow, if we're not losing friends and family, then we're not really growing. Why? Because everyone doesn't grow at our same rate. So we have to really have the courage to let people and things and situations go that no longer serve us. Again, as my mother says, people come into our lives for a reason, a season, a blessing, or a lesson. And when that is learned, you have to move on. They have to move on. But you have to have the courage to do that. So I want to thank you for joining us today. And I want to remind you, as you go forward in 2017 with your resolutions, it's so important that you have no self-condemnation about anything, no guilt, no drama about what you want to achieve. So you have your good, if you're on a diet, for example, I really hate that word. I always prefer lifestyle change because diet has such a negative connotation in general. But if you're making lifestyle changes to be more healthy, you're going to have those good days and you'll have those days that you struggle. But guess what? You always have tomorrow. So if you have those donuts and coffee today, well, tomorrow, maybe eat a bit less, maybe exercise more. But what I want to tell you is I want you to love and appreciate your bodies just the way they are. You make the small steps to get better. You know, one thing about health, our health is reflected by everything from our complexion to our breath to the color of our eyes to our skin tone to our level of energy to our libidos. So everything is reflected by that. So I want to tell you, if you're not having a high level of goodness in those areas, well, guess what? Make these small steps to get healthy. Start eating better, exercise more, worry less, pray more, meditate more. But the key when you do these things is to do them without thinking, well, oh, today is a bad day, I'll have to try again tomorrow. Well, yeah, you have to try tomorrow. Yes, you have to do. We all have to try again better tomorrow. You know, life is a journey. It's not a race, it's a marathon. And it's a good marathon. And it's one that you can win if you believe in yourself. As I've said before on the show, I believe that the core of everything comes from self-worth. You have to believe that you are worthy and that everything is working for your greater good. And if you believe that, guess what? The universe has nothing else to do but allow that to manifest. You know, it's beyond the laws of attraction. You know, the laws of attraction is one thing. I'm asking you not to petition God for anything. I'm not asking you to ask God, well, make me a success, let me have money. I'm saying that become money. In your mind, don't think I want prosperity. You get more want. In your mind, I want you to think I am prosperity. I am success. I am health. I am truth. I am service. I am authenticity. I want you to go to that place of believing in yourself. And guess what? Universe has nothing else to do but to let that manifest. If you live in that place of ever-expanding gratitude, guess what? The world is your oyster. It has nothing else to do but show up. You show up for your life will show up for you. So I want to tell you today, I'm inspired by the two great men we have on the show. And I think it's so wonderful to have not just often we've had on the show a father or the son will come on, but now this is very different. This is a show we have both. We have a generation. We have a legacy of wealth, a legacy of intelligence, a legacy of genius, a legacy of magnanimousness. So today I want to welcome to the show Gary Kornegay and his son, G2. So welcome, guys.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. Happy New Year.
Oh, same to you all. Thank you.
Yeah.
I have to tell everyone, as I told you all earlier, Gary was on with us last year as one of our primary guests when we first started here at UBN. And his show has reigned supreme over all other shows here. So having him back today is really just a spectacular joy and an authentic gift. So I really thank you for sharing your time with us today.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure being here again. It's an honor.
It really is. And G2, how does it make you feel? I mean, being here with your dad.
I love it. This is something we do all across the country, so
Fantastic.
I think it's pretty cool to definitely be on your show and cause I saw the numbers and I watched that show.
Yes.
So I was like, man, I can't wait to be on. It was an honor that you even thought of me to come.
So. Oh, we wanted to have you on because I think it's so important that people know that great genes beget greater genes.
There we go.
So I think your dad has planted the seed now for you to walk in the victory.
Yes, sir.
And I think victory is one thing, specifically as an African-American, as a man of color. As we all know, our struggles are greater.
Yeah.
I've had them in my life, and I know they're great for you. So I think today the key of the show is I want everyone to know that no matter their race, their creed, their color, their sex, their sexuality, their gender identity, this show is about reminding people that you can make your dreams come true if you have work ethic and if you have vision, period. Now, I want to ask you, Mr. Kornegay, when you look at yourself growing up, let's hear about your childhood. Let's hear about the struggles that you had with your mom, your dad, your family. What was life for you as a child?
Well, as a child, sometimes when you don't know, you don't know,
Exactly.
We had a great life. My parents were entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And also my dad got called to the ministry in 1971.
Yes.
And he started church from scratch.
Right.
So he was not voted in as a bishop. He was actually started church from scratch. And in my mind, at that time, that was his thing, not my thing. And so we had great parents. Mom, school teacher by trade, and then they both went full-time into the ministry. They were homeowners, and they also had rental properties throughout Los Angeles as well. So I had entrepreneur parents.
Yes.
And our life was great. In our world, it was great because we didn't have nothing to compare it to.
Right.
And then as obviously you get older,
you see,
and you start realizing, okay, we're not doing as well as we maybe could be doing.
Right.
And that's not a slight on my parents. They did a great job. But as we got older, we kind of went separate ways, myself and my 3 brothers.
Right. Right.
Yeah. But it was a great life. Honest to God, truth. I would not sit here and kid you. I don't. We had a wonderful parents. Finance was not an issue. They weren't wealthy by any stretch of imagination.
Right.
As a matter of fact, my mother, when I was in middle school, explained the middle class to me.
Yes.
But I didn't know what that meant either until I applied for the school food program they had in the schools, and my mom said, "We don't qualify for that." Like, what do you mean we don't qualify for that? All my friends get lunch tickets. And,
right.
You know, I love those coffee cakes they had in middle school.
Right.
You know?
Yes.
And
yes.
and so I wanted that form filled out. Mom said, "Well, honey, we're not going to qualify for this particular program." I go, "Why?" "Because we're in the middle class." I'm like, "What does that mean?"
Of course.
"Well, we're not rich enough to give you lunch money every day.
Exactly.
And we're not broke enough to qualify for that program where you get free lunch." And at that moment, I went, "Wow, I don't like the middle class."
Right.
You know, I mean, not that I want to be broke and
Right, of
qualify
course
for the
not.
programs, but that's how I kind of realized, okay, we're not broke, but we're also not financially
rich.
independent. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, when you look back at your life, do you look at both of your parents as being the major heroes who stimulated you to become an entrepreneur, or was one more the stimulant for you?
They were both. They were both
were.
entrepreneurs. Yeah. My dad was 15 years older than my mother.
Yes.
So he started his own maintenance company, and putting my mother through college. So
Yes.
he was 34.
That's pretty amazing. Put your mom through college.
Yeah,
That's fantastic.
Yeah, and that's on cleaning people's homes.
Wow.
Back in the 60s and 70s. So he was 34 and she was 19 when they got married.
Wow.
Okay, and so she's still technically just getting into college.
Absolutely.
So he worked, ran his business, funded her to go to Cal State University, and
Fantastic.
she graduated, became a school teacher.
Right.
But both of them were entrepreneur minded. You know, they had their own maintenance company, had their own clientele. So I kind of learned how to the work ethic came from that.
Yes.
And
yes.
then the mindset of being my own boss, I think it kind of just came as a secondary part of working with my mom and my dad.
Yes. Now, why did you choose the financial industry as your focus of success?
Well, as crazy as it may seem, I didn't choose it. It found me. You know, actually, I was, if I was going to do anything that was going to be my own business,
yes.
it would be a DJ. I was DJing on the weekends in clubs in the Westwood and Hollywood area.
Right.
Back in the 80s. My regular occupation, I was an EMT.
Yes.
So the 9 to 5 was saving lives. Then on the weekends, I DJed in clubs.
Exactly.
And then I actually I hate to use the word tricked, but my cousin asked me to attend a meeting with her.
Really?
And she's an evangelist, so I thought I was going to church. She didn't fib to me. I just assumed her being an evangelist, we're going to church.
Right.
And it ended up being a financial services recruitment seminar.
Wow.
And my life changed that day. I quit my job the next day.
And why did you quit? Because you felt like that's something that you could do and you could do it really well. Why was that such a passion? Because you hadn't experienced it yet.
Yeah, I had no
but you had
background
the
in that.
feeling that you wanted to do it.
Yeah, I just saw other people in the room that were telling their personal stories. And they weren't from the same neighborhood, from the same walk. As a matter of fact, they weren't even the same race as I was.
Right.
But I looked at it as my father and mother's upbringing, you know, what one man could do, another man could do better.
Absolutely.
So when I saw these people telling their personal stories and how they became, quote unquote, financially successful, I said, well, if they're paying him, they'll pay me.
Exactly.
You know, and so I quit my job the next day and I ignorantly got into the financial services business.
That's pretty amazing.
It is.
And what keeps you in this business? Because it's a really cutthroat, very intense type business, not a joke.
Well, because of the nature and the culture of the way the company that I went to work with is, it's family-based.
Well, that's a good thing then.
That's exactly right. So it's God family business. That sounds so cliche-ish, but our founder preached that, lived it through his own personal life.
Right.
And so therefore, you're not in that cutthroat environment of a bunch of sharks because
Exactly.
the wife is in the room, the kid's in the room. So it's no more of a, you know, you get yours, I get mine.
Right.
It's more of a, wow, this is a huge family, and I could bring my wife and kids along with me, which takes off that edge of trying to be, you know, the kill or be killed mindset.
Exactly right, because often it's just that mindset of you eat what you kill.
Right.
So if you don't bring it in, well, you won't have anything to show for that month.
That's correct. And as you said, in most financial firms, if I worked in a major Wall Street firm, I can't take my wife with me.
No way.
You know what I'm saying? And it's not that they don't want me to maintain a marriage. It's that they don't want me to soften my sharpness.
Exactly.
You know, my lion mentality of go get it.
Right.
Because you got your wife with you, you're not going to kill as fast.
Right. Yeah, they want you to be a predator.
That's
basically.
right. Absolutely right.
You know, what about this? How did you get your son involved with you?
Well, me and Gary have been in business for a long time prior to him getting the financial business.
Yes.
So I mentored my son to be his own boss as though my father did for me.
Yes.
I felt that was a better gift than training him to be an employee.
Absolutely.
And the reason I believe that, because if I could teach him how to fish for himself,
Yes.
if he decides to be an employee, it's totally up to him, but at least he has the skill set where if corporate America ever let him down, he can immediately adapt to what he knows best.
Right. And sustain himself.
And sustain and take care of his family when that time came. And so we were already in the music industry together.
Right.
So when he was 16 years old, we got some investors and we funded his own entertainment distribution company.
Yes.
Then he became a producer and a songwriter, and then also became an artist.
Right.
And then he came to me in November 2013 and said, "Hey, Dad, I want to work with you in your business." And I initially told him no.
Right.
You know?
And why did you tell him no initially? What was the reason?
Well, because I already built a brand in my industry after being in the industry for 20-something years.
Right.
And I was on the back end of my career, per se, where I kind of got it to a point financially where I was good. And I didn't want to re-enter the industry to have to train my own son.
Right.
You know, and I wasn't going to allow anybody else to train my own son.
Or because they couldn't give him what you can give him.
Exactly. So I was like, good. If you say yes to this, Gary, then I got to get off the mental couch.
Right.
As he called it, a success coma.
Yeah.
I got to get out of the success coma
Yeah.
of me making decent income just being at home.
Right.
And so I didn't want to do that. You know, but after we had a conversation, as a father, I thought about it and said, wow, your son's asking you to work with you.
Absolutely.
And
To
you're
me-
denying
to
him.
be the mentor, to be the
that's
true
right.
mentor.
Right.
Well, what about you, G2? What is it like, when you look at this whole narrative that you're drawing out of your life, that you actually work with your father now, that he is your, you look at a father figure, that he is your father figure, that he is your mentor, that he is the patriarch of the family, but now also someone who is training you to take the reins to go forward, and not in his life, but in your life.
Yeah. I mean, I'm loving it, man. I honestly, it may sound crazy, but I never thought in a million years I'd be in financial services. I was a rapper. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it.
Right.
And that's just what I did. I love to do it. I mean, I remember having multiple conversations about how this just isn't for me and I didn't want to do it.
Right.
Not with him. He wasn't pushing it on me, but others in the environment didn't understand how we work.
Yes.
So my dad's never, and as crazy as this may sound, he's never pushed anything on me.
Right.
It's something as simple as taking out the trash.
Right.
He's always giving me options. Hey, Gary, do you want to take out the trash? If you take out the trash, you can go outside and play.
Right.
Okay,
Right.
cool. I'll take out the trash. I made the decision. He didn't make it for me.
Exactly.
So when it came to business and me wanting to work with him, I faced him and said, "Hey, G, I want to do what you do." He's like, "Well, why do you want to do what I do?" I said, "Well, I sat there and I watched Dr. Levi. I watched my grandmother pass away in November of 2013. Being
sorry
a bit,
to hear that.
it's okay. It's life, and if you look at it, it's a lesson in this, and it really it caused a paradigm shift in my life. Really, sitting and watching my grandmother's health decline so fast. Literally, it went from February, she was up, walking, talking, had a stroke in October, and October had to be the longest month of that year for me. I felt like it was a year of just pain.
Yes.
Watching my grandmother struggle. She had a stroke. She couldn't communicate. It
Right.
paralyzed the right side of her body. And I'm watching her health decline, but I'm also watching how my father is dealing with his mother and how his brothers are dealing with their mother.
Right.
Because at some point in my life, just through the circle of life, I'm gonna be in the same position at some point in my life.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
and I'll be
we all go
sitting
through
here and talking to my father, trying to communicate. And
Absolutely.
at this point in my life, do I want to be in a negative spot where I don't know anything about his business, where I don't know anything about my father,
Right.
where I couldn't have that conversation with him?
Of course.
So I made a conscious decision.
Yes.
First to say, hey, listen, Dad, I want to come work with you. Why do I want to come work with you? Not for the money, not because I'm loving what you're doing. It was really just to learn the business.
Right.
And then I really felt like once I got in the business, I felt clean. The music
Good.
industry is dirty. It really is. And I tell people all the time, I sat down with a gentleman yesterday, 19. His parents are like super diehard Christians, and he just wants to be in the music industry.
Right.
And so I looked this kid in his face at 19. I said, listen, it's everything that you hear about. The worst possible thing that you can think of, and that's what the music industry is. And it's not fun. It's literally called the devil's playground. I'm not bashing the industry, but it just wasn't for me. I couldn't operate
In those circumstances.
I couldn't. So when I got into business with with my father, I felt clean. I don't have to have my guards up.
Right.
Mentally, there's no pressure on me. Mentally, I'm able to sleep at night. I don't have to worry about who the next man is or who's gonna walk in the studio. I don't have to worry about none of that. Right. So it was a new birth for me mentally.
Of course.
And then I had a mentor that said, hey, listen, Gary, if you're gonna do this, I'm gonna show you how to do it right. I'm gonna make sure that you're able to catapult your business and to catapult your career and catapult your stature to say, hey, listen, if you're gonna do this, I'm gonna be the face of this.
Of course.
And so that's really the goal, and that really has been the goal pushing forward from 2014 till current.
One thing I think is great is that, as you talk about this, quite clear that you're driven by the passion of making business a success, but also the passion of working with your dad, this extraordinarily genius entrepreneur who really is about making things happen.
Yeah.
But also it sounds like you really live by that principle of all money is not good money. Because you're clear that you're not going in this for the money. You said that. You said, I'm doing it because I want to work with my dad. I want to get involved with him, and I want a mentor.
Yeah.
And he's the ultimate one you could have.
Mm-hmm. And what better field to mentor me in than something that he's been doing? He wasn't in music.
No, he's lived this. Financial industry, he's lived it.
100%.
He is it.
Yeah. And so it was kind of, when I was in music with him, it was kind of like a weird space because he wanted to do business his way, but the industry is
wants to do it a separate way.
No, the industry's going to do it their way.
Got it.
And so your way really doesn't matter.
Right.
Even if you have, okay, listen, this is my son and this is how we're going to do business, people will come behind his back and say, your father doesn't know nothing about what he's doing and try to play us against each other.
Right.
But that's the music industry.
Right.
And so coming into this, it's like this is a totally different game.
Totally.
This is, I'm going to tell you how to do it and this is the way it's going to go.
Right.
And I think the intentions are different. In the music industry, the intentions weren't positive.
Right.
The outcome wasn't positive. The outcome wasn't success.
Right.
We saw success, but that wasn't the outcome for the field I was going into.
Right.
Now, when I look at this and I have so many examples of people that are extremely successful but have it all, not just one piece. You can have money in the music industry, but you're not going to have mental security. You're not going to feel safe. You're not going to have a spiritual enlightenment when you're doing music. I'm sorry, you're not.
You're saying you can still feel threatened there.
Yeah.
But here with your father, you're saying there's a place of not only safety, but a place of authentic growing together.
You can have it all.
Right.
In business, you can have it all when you're in control.
I believe that. Now, when you hear your son talk like this, Mr. Kornegay, what does it do for you? How does that nurture your soul when you hear your son talk so intellectually about how he feels about you and how he feels about his career?
I think it's surreal. I just sit and listen to him right now. I can listen to him obviously all day long. We did a conference in Vegas a couple of days ago, on a couple of 300, 400, 500 people there, and he's on stage and no notes. He just comes, as he called in the rap business, music business, freestyle.
Right.
Because it's been embedded in him. And about 7 years old, with Les Brown, I'm sure you know.
I know Les Brown.
Les Brown was my mentor back when I got into the public speaking field. And he had told me when he had met Gary at 7, he says, Gary, as a black man, he says, if you could train him how to play football and sports, sing and dance and rap, then you could train an entrepreneur.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I had never heard that before.
Right.
Even though I was trained by an entrepreneur, I didn't know that you could premeditate that.
Exactly.
And say, well, if I'm going to play baseball with my son on Saturdays in the park and try to make him hit a home run and yell at him if he don't do it, then what if I did the same thing on Saturdays and took him to financial awareness seminars?
Absolutely.
And put him around successful entrepreneurs?
Absolutely.
I'm going to try that.
Right.
So Gary was an experiment.
Right.
So I'm proud to see where he's
look at the
today.
results. Look at the results.
Absolutely.
I was the guinea pig.
But the results are nothing but amazing success.
Yeah,
of course. And I wanted to tell everyone, if you were here right now, it's really interesting. I'm always about energy here. You could really feel the empathic love that Gary and his son have for each other. Often, with the son and the father, there can be a spirit of competition, in a good way and or a bad way. However, here right now today, if you were here, it's really about, I feel a sense of just nurturing. How can we make each other better? How can you continue to lift your son up? How can you continue to lift and honor and be obedient to your father also?
Yeah.
It's very important. What do you look at as the laws of success for your life, Mr. Kornegay?
I think an environment is big. I talked about that. I mentor a group of people. And last night I had a session about 80, 90 people till about 2 in the morning.
Yes.
And and that's not planned. We just happened to end up at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right.
And we talked about, a gentleman asked me a question. He was, how do you Gary, how do you deal with people that have that poverty mentality is the word he used. Right. And what books do you read? I said, well, the first thing you do, if I was going to understand what I know now, I would get into an environment where people are thinking progressiveness.
Yes.
People are not thinking a lack of, but they're thinking an abundance, whether they have it or not.
Right.
It's the environment first.
Right.
If you can stay around people that are moving forward mentally, spiritually, and physically.
Yes.
Okay, and the financial part will come too.
Absolutely.
That's just how we keep score. But if you can be around people that are actually working on getting better.
Right.
That's going to be almost like your cheat sheet. Like, okay, I'm not good yet, but I'm around good people. Something's liable to happen.
Something good is
Something good's going to happen
right.
because everybody is talking in the right direction.
Exactly.
That's number one. Number two, and then when you leave that environment, and this is really tough talk last night because my group of guys are all in their 20s
right.
that I mentor, guys and gals, and it was if you give me the keys to your car is what I said last night. Right. I put the key in, I turn the radio on. What station is it on? Mm-hmm. Right? Because that's also important, too.
Absolutely.
When you leave the environment, do you do maintenance by listening to the right stations?
Absolutely.
Okay, the Dr. Levi Show.
Right.
Listen to progressive publications.
Right.
Music, if that's your thing.
Right.
I do a lot of audio books because I'm always
here.
in my car. My
Yes.
car is my university.
Yes.
And so I think it's important that you now start adapting that.
Right.
And then when you get home, if your environment is not progressive, then you're going to have to be the person to be the role model, not a model playing a role
exactly.
for your little brothers and sisters and your moms and dads and aunts and uncles to say, wow, this guy is really trying to improve. And they might not allow you to do it.
Yeah, but you got to push on.
But you got to push on anyway.
Right. What about yourself, young G2? What are your thoughts about that? When you look at how your life is evolving, what would you say are the 3 cornerstones of success that you've used to build what you're building in your life?
Wow, it's great work ethic. That's my big one.
So work ethic is one.
Next is competition. Healthy competition is good.
Yes.
Competition. People look at business like it's like, I don't understand how to say it. They don't view it as you view basketball. You don't view it as you view football, where it's a competition. But legitimately, and it's been proven year over year. And if you talk to guys like Mark Cuban, they're going to tell you that business is a sport. And it's in a sport that's played extremely aggressively, but it's a mental sport. It's not physical. It's all mental.
Right.
It's very easy, and not knocking this if you do this, it's very easy to tackle somebody on a professional level. It's very easy to run, to sprint on a professional level. But how hard is it to conquer your mental self, to conquer and overcome the mental blocks that we put in front of each other?
Right. Right.
But you have to, and you can't do it it can't come from external. It has to all come from internal.
Oh, I agree with that.
And so it's a competitive sport where personal growth shows. Right. And if you're not self-improving, if you're not growing every single day, it's going to show up somewhere. It may not show up today. It may not show up tomorrow, but at some point it will show up.
Oh, definitely.
And so I think competition brings out the best in everybody. It'll push you to your limits mentally. It'll push you to your limits physically. Right. But at the end of the day, the end goal is success.
Of course.
So business is a sport, and money is how we keep count, how we keep track of the score of who's winning and who's not.
Oh, absolutely.
And so that would be my second. My third would be integrity.
Right.
Integrity is everything. You can't live a double life. Right now, I'm 23, Dr. Levi, and I find it so tough. I hear so many leaders talk about how you have to live a compartmentalized life. And I'm so against that, because as a 23-year-old African-American man, I'm not that good yet where I say, today is time for God. Today's time for business. Today's time for family. Why not just mix it all together and do it at once?
Right.
It's not Sunday's not the day that you're supposed to serve God, and then Monday you acting
do
crazy.
Something different. Right.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a compartmentalized life where you're Dr.
Right.
Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
Exactly.
I'm
right.
not that good yet,
right.
and I'm not expecting my guys to be that good.
Right.
Well, our disadvantage is our hugest advantage. So the person that
Absolutely.
you're seeing today is who I'm going to be tomorrow.
Right.
Is who I'm going to be throughout my whole life.
Right.
And of course I'm going to get better and I'm going to progress in those areas. But towards the end of the day, guess what? I did God, I did family, I did business, I did love, I did everything.
Did it all together.
Of course.
I love that statement about the issue of authenticity. It made me think about Maya Angelou's statement of when people show you who they are, believe them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's the same when it comes to integrity. I was talking to a really good friend of mine last night who's in Hollywood, and she's a really well-known actor, a really good friend. Mm-hmm. And so we were talking, and she said, Levi, I'm just getting tired sometimes. I said, you have to think about it's your business. And it's not just, it's Hollywood. It's not just show business. It's the business of show. Mm-hmm. I said, so you got to make sure your finances are tight. And she said, well, I'm going to try to get an accountant. I said, you can't try.
Yeah.
You got to do it.
Yep.
I said, if you want success the way you talk about it, it's not about talk. You got to go out and get it.
Action.
And when you go out and get it, it's action behind the thought. Now you get the manifestation.
Right.
Yep.
Right. Exactly right.
I mean, you've shown that, Mr. Kornegay. It's not about just about lip service. That doesn't do it.
It really doesn't, and especially with this generation of information.
Right.
We have a smarter consumer today
Very
and a
much so.
smarter youth than we had 20, 30 years ago when
Right.
I was a young adult.
Right.
Because of technology.
Right.
They can get information at the click of a phone.
Yes.
Or a button on the phone. And so because of that, you're going to have to be authentic.
Yes.
You're going to have to be, because they're going to find out in 2 seconds
Who you really are.
who you really are.
Just
you know?
do a search. Search your name. Search your images.
Yep.
Oh, she did that.
That's
they know
right.
like that.
Absolutely right. So I think it's important that you have to today walk the talk.
Right.
If you want to get people at least to respect you, listen to you, and even follow your advice. They could be your own children sometimes.
Exactly.
Just because I'm his dad, I don't expect him to just say, do what I say do,
Right.
but do as I do.
Correct.
And also, too, I'm very honest with him and transparent and saying, listen, don't do what I did if I made mistakes along the
Right.
way.
Right.
That makes sense? So I'm not the kind of father, like, I'm the father, I'm the adult, you listen to me, I'm always right. And I told my son when he was a young adult, and I was told by my parents, you respect authority. I told my son, no, just because a person's older than you, what if they decide to do something wrong?
Exactly.
And they take you along that ride.
Exactly.
And this person could be a close family member. All of a sudden, you
Absolutely.
catch yourself in a situation, a negative situation, that could cost you your life, could cost you your freedom,
Or your reputation.
your reputation, because they were older. And you said, well, he was older. I believed him. So I asked him to always question.
Always.
Always question. It's okay. I'm not going to
Absolutely.
smack you or yell at you.
Absolutely.
Question something. If you don't agree with me,
Right.
give me your opinion,
Right.
and I'll tell you why I told you that.
Right. You're really fortunate to have a dad like Mr. Kornegay because, my father was just the opposite. My dad was I think he meant well. But he was a drunk. When I was a kid, I used to call him a chemist, but he wasn't a chemist. He was a druggie. And I did that kind of like to protect myself at the time,
yeah.
kind of like with my uncles who were drunkles.
Drunkles.
I look back and I think
like that.
well, it's the truth. I look back and I think that I had all this self-protection of knowing they did all these bad things, but I had different terms for them in order to get through it and believe that they were better than what I saw.
Yeah.
What I love about what your dad is saying, that he wants you to continue to question authority, to question the status quo, and to make the status quo your quo. It doesn't have to match.
Yeah.
But what you are and who you are doesn't have to be what society says. Because you're only limited, as your father is saying so well, by your imagination, by your work ethic.
Yeah.
And as long as you continue to be authentic, as long as you continue to work hard, as he's shown you, he's giving you this roadmap, you can achieve anything.
Yeah, it is. It's the biggest blessing. It really is. In all areas of life. Academically, I struggled, and not necessarily struggled, because struggles means you actually put up a fight. I just wasn't putting up a fight.
Right.
I really went through this period in life, probably from kindergarten till about my senior year, and that's your entire educational career, right? At
Yes,
that point,
part of it, yes.
where I didn't enjoy school. I didn't enjoy school because the negative talk, because it was abnormal to me.
Right.
Being raised in a house where you hear stuff like, "Hey, champ, you're awesome. Hey, Gary, you're a superstar. You're a winner, dude. You're gonna make it. You're gonna be the biggest thing. Trust me, you're the best thing this world's ever seen." Positive talk,
Right.
4, 5, 6. Then you go to elementary around 4 or 5, right? And then what happens? Oh, you bad. Sit down.
Yes.
Your son ain't listening. He just
Right.
a disrupting class.
Right.
Well, I'm asking questions.
Right.
I'm not getting up. I'm not throwing things at you. I got a question, teacher. But I always got questions.
Of course, which is a good thing.
Of course, but they didn't know how to handle. I really believe that. I honestly believe that they didn't understand how to handle me because I was not necessarily a loose cannon, but I was a free spirit.
Right.
And so
But that's free spiritedness makes you who you are.
Yeah.
And I don't think we should ever be apologetic for that.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to academics, I think so often, especially here in America, there's this box of education that you have to fit this, and this. Now you're an A student, you're a B student, you're a C student, you're an F student, and you don't even count.
Yeah.
And I think it's always a mistake because we all think differently.
Yeah.
So if I think outside the box, and I think you and I do that, then that doesn't mean I'm a bad person. It just means that I may not be able to do these tests the way you give them, but test me on something else. But I think the issue there is we have to test the teachers to teach them how to test and talk to other people who think differently. Thinking differently doesn't mean we're bad kids.
Exactly. And the worst part about it, and I thank God for my dad. I promise you, my parents are awesome. But my mom was more like the rule. She made the rules, she made the law, and so when she said go, my dad was like, all right, cool, we're a little bit lenient on some stuff.
Right.
But the talk, the self-talk, the talk at home, the teaching, the principles that my life was built on went against everything teachers would say to me because they couldn't handle it.
And you saw the principles of truth and authenticity at home. You saw it in your dad and your mom, how they lived.
Yeah.
So what the teacher was saying, well, you're bad or you're this, you were like, well, hey, how can I be bad at school? My dad says I'm a champ. My dad loves me. My dad says I'm doing great. You know, that
doesn't match.
Disconnect doesn't match. So I think so often we have to really go through mental paradigmatic shifts in consciousness, knowing that it really doesn't matter what other people think of us.
It doesn't.
What does matter is what I think of myself.
Yep.
What does matter is what I achieve and do to make my reputation one that is built on who I really am.
Yeah, and I think that's huge because by the time you catch it, how old are you when you catch?
And many people don't catch it.
They don't, so they go their entire lives believing all the outside influences perspective on them is who they are. And so they look in the mirror when they wake up in the morning and say, "Damn, I'm a failure, man. I'm just not happy."
Right.
Because everybody else is telling you who you are.
Absolutely. And you know what else I think? When I talk sometime, I've often talked about this, and that is so often people forget that they were born an original. Why are you trying to live and be a copy of somebody else?
Man.
Why? Why not live in the authenticity of who you are and the uniqueness of who you are and appreciate yourself and not say, I want to try to look like that, be like that. And I say that because I remember, and I want to hear your thoughts about this, G2. In school, I was really bullied as a kid because I had an incredible lisp and stutter. I mean, I stuttered tremendously, and I was also like the blackest black kid in my class. So I got a lot of stereotypes about being a black man in a black school, which is very interesting. But I was really treated unjustly a lot, especially in high school, as being this black, really, really smart, but the guy that sort of stuttered and really being, dark, So I want to hear, what were your experiences growing up with respect to bullying, and how did your mom and dad not shelter you from that, but actually, fortify you to let you deal with it?
Man, okay. I don't think I've ever talked about this. I got bullied, not bullied, but I just got picked on. My freshman year in high school, I remember first day of my freshman year in high school, I get into a fight with this kid, and it was just all bad. But that's when I think when leadership skills kick in, and I think the principles, like I said, that were instilled in me, that's when it kicked in. I remember like it was yesterday.
Yes.
I'm going to say his name because he's my best friend now.
Right.
His name's DeAndre. We call him Pookie. So, Janet, you know Pookie, right? Every family's got a Pookie in it. So, my Pookie just happened to fight me my first day of high school. He was a junior. I was a freshman. My first day of high school, I'll never forget it. This dude walks up to me and just socks me in my face. Boom. And I'm not a physical person. I'm not confrontational. I'm the guy that's like, everybody,
just peaceful.
Let's just hang out. Like let's chill.
Right.
And so I remember the pressure and the frustration it put on my mindset, my mentality. So going to class is like, is he gonna walk in? Right. And it wasn't a fear of him. It was the fear of, I don't know what he gonna do to me right now.
It's about survival.
Yeah, and that was it. This is. I make it sound. I'm stretching out like it sounds like a year. It was a day. It was one day.
Right.
And so towards the end of the day, it made so much sense for me to do this. But this is a leadership quality. I was leaving school. I'm frustrated. My dad's assistant picked me up, and I remember we were at McDonald's, right?
Yes.
And he was there with like 4 or 5 people that I kind of knew. But because we all went to elementary together, but I knew them from a distance because they're a lot older than me.
Right.
Okay. So I walked up to the counter at McDonald's, and I know they were waiting on their order. And I say, hey man, y'all want anything else, guys? I'll pay for it. Don't worry about it. And they're looking at me like, what? And I say, yeah, dude. Hey, listen, bro. I know you hit me in my face earlier today. It's all good. I said, bro, what made you do that?
Right.
He goes, oh man, well I heard. I said, well, dude, you heard wrong. I'm a good guy, bro. Like, don't worry about it. I got it. Take care of it. Arlene, can you pay for this real quick?
Right.
And so she took care of everything. And then from that day forward, it started a new relationship. So instead of fighting fire with fire, it would have been very easy for me as a 14-year-old boy to meet him where he was at.
Oh, of course.
I could.
But then for you to do that, you have to drop down.
I would have to drop down and operate in a space where I'm not good operating at.
And so, where that's not you.
That's not me whatsoever. So what I did was I extinguished the fire, right?
That's the way to do
and
it.
they became my best friends. So now the guy that walked up to me and fought me with these guys are now my friends.
I believe that.
So now they're not like my friends where it's like, oh yeah, we're kind of cool, pay for this. No. They're my friends. Was like, you mess with Gary, you got a problem.
Right.
You mess with Gary, any outside forces that try to do what happened today, after today, is a problem.
Absolutely.
And so it was just a leadership quality to understand how to deal with that. I don't think I ever told my pops about that.
The great thing about that also is it shows the power of transformational strategizing, meaning that you knew the environment wasn't good. So how do I strategize this and make it better? What's the strategy? And then how do I not only just transform it, but transmute the energy of this whole environment?
Yeah.
And you did that with blessed assurance. That was just the way to do it.
And it's crazy because you thinking back on it, it's like, how did I know to do that? You know? And like hindsight is like, man, what made me and how did God bless where he was there kind of deal? But I promise you, Dr. Levi, this dude is like my best friend now.
I believe you.
Where I don't do anything without him. He's my partner in crime and everything that I do. And so just the mentality of that. And I didn't really deal with a lot of bullying after that, but more so aggressive statements from teachers that put stereotypical precedence on me. Right.
Like
I remember, it's funny. People are just ignorant, and it's hilarious to me. I was in class getting ready to go out of town. My dad, the company that we're affiliated with, they take us on company trips all the time. So I was getting ready to go on a company trip, and in front of the entire classroom, this teacher, and she just ignorantly said this, and it hurt my person.
Right.
But I knew what she was trying to do. She was trying to ruin my reputation in the classroom. So I said, "Hey, listen, Miss Torres, I'm gonna say her name. Miss Torres, I need you I need a packet for the weekend. I'm going out of town and I'm not gonna be here Monday or Tuesday." She said, "Where are you going?" I believe we were going to like the Bahamas or something like that. And she goes, "Oh, what's the occasion? Drugs or prostitution?" In front of the entire classroom.
Wow.
I'm 14.
Wow.
And I'm like,
wow.
Oh, she's cold. I know what you're trying to do.
Yeah. But you see, the thing is, when people say things like that, what I often believe is that they say that because they think less of themselves.
Oh, yeah.
They're projecting on you what they think of themselves.
100%.
It had nothing to do with you at all.
Yeah.
So she was saying, what can I do to take him from being here to there, because I'm here waiting for him to meet me here.
Yeah.
But why are you going to go there?
Yeah. No.
There's no reason.
Yeah. So she was trying to stop my control of the kids.
But she'd already lost herself.
Yeah.
So
nothing ever happens to people. Not to talk bad about the person, but nothing happens to people with that mindset.
How could it?
It can't.
It can't, because they've already told you that they don't believe they're worthy of anything.
Oh, yeah.
Because they don't have any self-worth.
Yep.
And self-worth is the first key.
Yep.
It's like health is the first gift.
Yep.
Self-worth, you have that, how can you believe you're going to get anything?
Yeah.
Right.
Gary, this has to be just amazing to hear your son talk about his life experiences where you planted that seed of growth for him to make the right decision. And more importantly, Gary Kornegay, for him to do the right thing when no one is watching. It's one thing to do it when people are looking at you.
That's correct. Yeah, it's what you see is what you're going to get from
Absolutely.
him all the time. And I'm honored. When Gary was maybe 1 or 2, somewhere in between that age, I personally said to myself, and I don't know if this is 100% true, but I bought it.
Right.
And that was, God has blessed me with this human being,
Yes.
and I'm responsible. Okay, this is, even though through my wife and myself, he came to planet Earth.
Of course.
But he's a child of God.
Yeah.
And God has trusted me with this human being.
Absolutely.
And it's my job to develop him into being a good, productive member of society.
Absolutely.
And the same with my daughter as well, who's now getting ready to turn 18. And I've just really worked extra hard on being a great parent, not a perfect parent,
Right.
but being a great parent.
Right.
And so when he was younger, I just started working on him. He was my project.
Right.
We homeschooled him.
Right.
Because we saw the school teachers saying things to him.
Right.
And so for the first formative years, we wanted to make sure that we develop the personality where once he gets to a high school situation,
He's ready.
He's good.
Right.
And so I'll never forget when he was like 7 or 8 years old, and he would just hang out with family and friends, and I grew up in the inner city, and this is just protocol in that particular environment where they would teach him how to fight. Just cousins teach him how to fight.
Right.
And I didn't want my son to do that.
Right.
And so I looked they looked at me like, oh man, he's a wimp. He got to teach him how to fight. And so I had to have a talk with Gary on the way home. I said, Gary, you don't need to learn how to fight.
Right.
Okay? I want you to beat people with your mind,
Absolutely.
not your hands.
Absolutely.
Okay?
That is the way to go.
Because you're going to be a man longer than you're going to be a boy.
Absolutely.
And very few men, unless they're intoxicated, get in a physical fight with another man.
Very few.
Okay?
Very few.
And so you want to get past that little adolescent years of your life by diffusing situations, okay, with your mentality.
Absolutely.
And that's why he was able to take that situation I just learned about and diffuse it in a McDonald's.
Absolutely.
Okay, and now they're best friends.
Right.
And I think that's awesome. And if he continues to do that, and people that listen to your show, and they can say, you know what, I'm going to do that with my son, my cousin, my nephew. I'm not going to teach him how to be so physical all the time, thinking that that's manhood.
Right.
I'm going to teach him how to use his mindset, his skill, his intellect to improve his situation and the environment around him.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, and obviously, and and we can address the elephant in the living room about the law enforcement dealing with African American men.
Oh, absolutely.
In terms of wrongful
shooting, wrongful death. Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So he knows how to diffuse a situation before it turns into one.
Right.
So when the police pulls him over, he's not going to say, "Why you pull me over?"
No.
Yeah, no.
He's not going to do it. No. You know, he's going to say, "Officer, wow, thank you for pulling me over. It's something I must have done wrong. Thank you so much for looking out for me. Because maybe I made a mistake back there that could have cost me my life or someone else's life. Here's my ID. Here's my registration. How you doing today?
Anything else can help you with, sir?
Just happened.
Now, it just happened. Right. So now watch this now. Now that police officer could have came from another situation that was hostile, violent. We don't know where he came 3 minutes ago.
Right.
We don't know what his personal life is like.
Absolutely.
We don't have a clue if he's going to get fired today.
Right.
He has the financial problems and foreclosure. You don't know that.
You don't.
What you can do is give him a burst of good energy.
Exactly.
So when he says, wow, man, you kind of made me look at my life differently.
And respected me.
And respected me.
Right.
And don't give you a ticket either.
And I'll give you a ticket. It's like, we're good, bro.
That's true.
I just want to let you know you ran the stop sign.
Exactly.
Be careful.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So that was one of the scenarios I want to make sure that a lot of people on this call hear.
Absolutely. It's very powerful. It's important.
I'm not saying it's not bad.
No. We're just saying it's the truth,
stuff.
right?
Yeah. But if you know how to diffuse it before it gets started,
it's better.
It's better.
Absolutely. Yeah. We can't end this show, of course, without talking about your mom and your wife. I want to hear about her role in your life because she's been there with you through this whole journey.
That's right.
That's
right. I met my wife Patricia in high school.
Right.
We're in homeroom together, and I was dating somebody else. She was dating somebody else in high school, as you know. Right. You don't always normally be with the same person
exactly.
forever.
We were 20 people in high school.
Yeah, right. Exactly right. Okay. Plus,
I'm guilty.
Plus, I was on the football team.
Right.
And so, but when I saw Patricia in high school, I did say to myself, not to her, if I was to ever marry somebody, it would be Patricia.
You said that to yourself.
Absolutely. Wow. Okay, because she just had that persona and that walk. And that, I'll call it that Michelle Obama.
Oh, that grace. That
grace.
Yes,
that Coretta Scott King grace.
Yes.
And I said, wow, but I'm not ready to get married, so I'm going to go and have fun. And when I ever get married, it'll probably be somebody like Pat.
Right.
And the law of attraction.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And all of a sudden, we started dating a year after high school. We've been together now for 34 years. Been married
fantastic.
30 years. But she's been with me through thick and thin.
Wow.
She had great parents as well, great mom, great dad.
Fantastic.
Same scenario. And then we just came together as a partnership, and we've been partners ever since. And we made mistakes together. We made money. We lost money together.
Of course.
But our attitudes never changed about each other.
Yeah. Right. What keeps that passion of love for you with your wife like that? Because I would think after 34 years or 30-plus years, you would think, oh, same relationship, same person. What makes you love her even more every day when you see her, knowing how she's committed to you?
Well, I mean, that's it. I mean, she's committed to me, Right. Patricia is, she's not that kind of wife that's always trying to put the pressure on me to deliver financially for the family. Right. Pat, matter of fact, I just asked her, birthday's coming up. Happy birthday, honey, January 18th. And I asked her, I said, honey, what do you want for birthday? She says, just 2 days with you.
Wow, that's pretty wonderful.
Okay, cool, I can make that happen, right? But it wasn't, I want the Louis Vuitton purse, I want new shoes. No. She's just never been like that.
It wasn't the stuff.
She's not into that.
Right.
It's just not her personality.
Right.
And I go, wow, that's my wife, Patricia, just so humble and been like that the entire time. And that makes it easier for me
absolutely
to love her even more.
Absolutely.
In the deepest part of love, this different level of love.
This is true. Do you find this, because I'm curious to hear your thoughts about this, I find in my relationships, if she wants less, I want to give her even more.
That's right. Absolutely right. 100%. Yeah. And I do give her more.
Right.
And she still says, you didn't have to do that.
Right, exactly.
And how much did you pay for that? I go,
right.
Don't ask.
Right.
Just take it. it.
Just
I
take
don't
it.
need that,
Right.
And that truly hurts. She's not doing that. I'm just going to say that, but really, I really want that Range Rover.
That's her.
She's more, well, next time buy me a Volvo.
Fantastic.
She's that
that's
kind of
my
person.
Wow. I got to thank the Kornegays for being here today. G2, amazing young man, and Gary Kornegay. I want to thank them for being a part of this legacy of the Dr. Levi Show. It's great to have phenomenal men on the show who make me want to be a better man, a better physician, to be of greater service. How can they contact you all via social media?
Oh, my Instagram, that's the biggest way to contact me. My Instagram is @_who, WHOIS is G_. So who is G_.
Fantastic. What about yourself, Ms. Kornegay? Any other?
Just contact me through whatever he just said on social media.
He don't even know.
I don't have. I got a phone number.
All right, everybody. You heard it from the Kornegays. And please be sure to subscribe and like and follow us on Facebook. It's Dr. Levi, DrLevi, Harrison.com, on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and of course, Twitch TV every first Saturday of the month. This is Dr. Levi. Amazing show today with the Kornegays. God bless everyone, and thank you for joining us. Woo! Bye.
Thank you.